thought after 5 months of recording videos, I would have a tripod or something to bring the camera up a bit, but apparently not. So, hello. Okay, so hello everyone. It's been a really long time that I haven't had this self-expression, self-therapy session, whatever you want to call it. Wait, I think I missed something. Okay, so now that's better. Maybe I changed the camera angle a bit. But hello. So, why did I make a video today? Well, usually I don't make videos that often anymore. Probably because of work and also just a shitload of things going on in the past few months that even if I want to, um, it's hard to find time. And also the original reason that I want to make all these videos is because I thought it's going to improve my communication skills, and certainly it does by a huge margin. So I thought that, now I talk to quite a few people every day, and meet up with friends very often, have long conversation. I mean, that's like probably 10 times better than having a conversation like this, right? Well, apparently not, because I feel like there's something actually a bit indescribable and also like really enjoyable about doing this that it's hard to put into words. I think that it's quite different from talking with friends. Although with friends you're still interacting with them, and especially with close friends, I hope that you will have that conversation where you can speak your thoughts. But I think that there's that spontaneity in this self-expression that is hard to reflect or is hard to have when talking with friends, because you also have to take roles, being a listener in a conversation, which is not bad at all. But I mean that what I mean is it is different from this type of communication. And also another thing, so I found this YouTube channel. Let me show you here. It's actually very cool. So this is just my personality profile. So skip that. So this girl right here, Madeline RG. I have no idea what her video is about, but it's just very relatable, and her style of talking, it's interesting. And so I listened to one of her videos. She talks about, let me see, okay, ignoring gut instincts and changing around people. It's a very interesting video where she talks about relationship. She talks about how she used to not listen to her instinct, although it's very true, and how she kind of got into unnecessarily bad situation, shall you put it, that she could have avoided. And she also talks about how your friend's a reflection of you, and her, I'll say it, conflicts between what she wants to be, and then also the pressure of the people around her. So it's a very interesting video, and a lot of ideas in there. So after listening to that video, I thought to myself, wow, like actually this type of podcast, an interesting thing is that although you record yourself and you don't really want to listen to it again because of how cringy it is, and how, I don't know, shameful and awkward your sound is, like just even hearing yourself maybe is it's not that easy. Then why still people, when you post it online, there are still people that want to listen to you. There must be something more than that, eh? So there must be something that's is blinded to you, but is very visible to others. So probably what they listen from that, I think that's just my guess, is that they listen to the meaning that you convey to them. What's the stories about, and what's the morals of that. And maybe that's the part that I think that is very valuable in speaking with myself like this, that I've never really articulated in the past. If you notice my title of the videos I made in like last year and also a few beginning of this year, it's mostly about expressing my thoughts. It doesn't have any coherent theme. It doesn't get anywhere per se, although there are some times that it gets to really interesting space, of like a lesson or takeaways that I can implement into my life the next day. But most of them are very scattered and unorganized. So I thought that maybe there's still value in doing this, especially that spontaneity and just the fun of talking with myself like this. But I think that one reason that I was being very inconsistent in making videos, I think after October of last year, is that it doesn't give me any real sense of fulfillment or enjoyment. Like if you do a task, you enjoy it because it brings you joy, and then it gives you it brings you into that flow state of where you forgot about times and you just focusing on the task itself. But I feel like after a couple of weeks of continuously doing it without a goal, I feel I was exhausted because it becomes a pressure that I have to speak about something in every video, even if it is just mind wandering. Right, it has to be at least 15 minutes, and I couldn't do that. There are some days I can only speak for like 7 minutes, and I have to stop there. Either I was too tired, or I just couldn't think of any ideas to add on that. So I think that maybe a format from now on is that I will have this type of like title as Madeline. She has here mistaken accountability, and just talking about the topic, and then at the same time still going around like the tangent for a bit. And I think this is a good for me to have this skill, because it's also very transferable into conversation. Because one of the problem that I have in many conversations that I participated with the people around me is that I tend to wander around a lot. Like like we start talking, let's say about a course, right? A very tough course, and then just talking about the workload and whatever. And then I start to talk about my workload and just relate to their stories and all of that. But then the next thing I know, I was talking about, I first came here in Canada, and then I was in a depressed mode, and then like it doesn't really relate to the story per se. Like it's went so far that to jump back to the main point that we are discussing about, which is the workload, it is not that easy, and sometimes I got lost into the weeds, and it's become like a very unorganized self-reflection, which was basically what I did when I made this video originally. So that's why I thought to myself, uh, I think that there must be a way to, first of all, still give me the freedom or the creativity to go around when talking about the topics, but how to say it, but also builds me a boundaries so that I know when it's too much, and also I can, how to say it, um, keep in mind of the main ideas that we are discussing about. It's not easy for me, especially when I got into a very interesting stories or very interesting avenues in a conversation. It's really hard for me to get back to the original point, and I think that's partly the reason why sometimes my conversation, I know that it tends to end very abruptly, and then we have to bring up another unrelated points, and sometimes the transition is not that let's just use the word smooth for now, because I couldn't think of anything else. So that's probably the new purpose I do this. It's just have a goal in mind of the topic I want to talk about, and this also gives me time to really think about that. Because I feel like the past videos I made, although they are very interesting, very reflective, at least for me, but I couldn't really get anything away from that. Yeah, maybe there's some lessons of like conversation flows with music and all that, but like I still remember that vividly because it's such a wild revelation that I just cannot take it easily. It still amazes me about that. But the problem is that those moments don't occur that regularly, and because of that, there are many points that I just talk without even knowing, that without any purpose. Like of course it's mind wandering, so you cannot trying to fit in all the thoughts into a very coherent path. But you still should be able to have a general theme of out of those stories. So that's why I think that is a good opportunity for me to find a balance of wandering around but still focusing on the main point. And I think that when I got that balance right, it's going to be really helpful for me when I have to explain about the details, or in details about a concept or a idea that I just originally throw out as like a very general statement. Because I feel like the general statement is useful in the sense that it's it captures, it gets people attention. Let's say, I think that's why newspapers title, they are so catchy, they are so gripping. Like some titles, like I think just this morning I heard, no, just not this morning, but I think just this afternoon I was listening to a podcast by Carl Newport. He's a very intelligent researcher, and he was talking about productivity. And one of his 2007 articles about productivity was titled, I'll say it, productivity is basically a very bad movement and is overrated. Uh, Although, like, the full title is longer and that, it's more provocative than that, but that's the main idea. And I remember when I heard that title, it's my emotions actually conjured up. A big part of that was the surprise and also a bit of anger and, like, I'll say, being, what's the word for that? I forgot that word, but it's basically you got triggered from that, from that title. So I think that's like the purpose of having a general idea and knowing how to express that. You catch people attention, and then when you catch people attention, that's when you can go into the weeds and explain in more details of, what is this whole story about and why it says that and what are the nuances and all of that, right? Because I think one of the problem for me when talking with people is that I get to the nuances too fast. I didn't present like the general idea or the theme or like the gist of the thing that I was thinking about, but rather I just explicitly, well, talking about it without any coherent theme. So sometimes, although I think uh, why I'm talking, you know, but because there's still, I guess, differences between the way you think and the way you express it, I express my thoughts as if it is, it doesn't have any coherent theme. And actually I should start with a coherent theme first and then elaborate on that and then adjust it as necessary. So I guess that's this whole purpose of this video, is just for me to, well, again, remind myself why I want to do this, which is, the joy, the enjoyment from this, the fulfillment, the spontaneity from this, very playful nature of having a very self-expressive, well, reflective conversation like this, but also, a good reminder for me to stay alert about the goals of this conversation, and every one goal that we try to reach in this video, and certainly it got into it, we have achieved it to a certain extent, is knowing how this video type of, well, recording benefits my life, in the sense of like having more grounded conversation, having a conversation that's based on a goal, and trying to knowing how deep to go into to go into the depth of the stories, and how to bounce back from a story to the main point, and then all of that. So I think that's very useful. It's a good conceptualization for me when going to a conversations and think about it, and just thinking about ideas in general. So, well, thank you, Madeline. That was very intriguing podcast that you had this afternoon, where I had the chance to listen to when going for a walk. And so we'll see how it turns out. Maybe I'll do this every Sunday would be a good one. Oh, my phone is, oh shit, and I turned it backwards. But yeah, so my phone's dying right now. I can see like the screen got really dark. I don't know if it's being reflected on my phone, probably not, so you guys cannot see it, but yep, it is getting dark right now. No, I mean on the screen right now it's like, yeah, it's getting, still got daylight, although it's quite cloudy today. So quite, I didn't have a headache. I know some people got headache just from very cloudy days, but luckily I didn't have that yet, so that's good. But anyways, bye guys, bye.